Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our reaction and review for the first two episodes of Sunny. This is a brand new Apple TV Plus show. It
Mhm.
stars Rashida Jones. For those of you who are interested in production houses and the like, this is an A24 production. On the TV side, they recently did The Curse, which I know is very, very polarizing, but my point here is that A24 tends to be very creative, outside the box, a little bit weird. They take big swings. I hated the end of the curse. I've made that very, very clear. But I love Sunny so far. I adore it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of The Curse, but I did appreciate that this production house did take a big swing with that show. And it feels like they're taking a big swing with this show as well. And so far, so good. I'm really enjoying it. There's a really good mystery with
Hmm.
this show. They've given just enough that we can come on here and talk every week with you guys about, what is happening with Masa, what's happening with Sunny the robot,
Hmm.
what is happening with Suzie, how is it all connected, what went on at Imatech. There's so much going on in this show already, and it's only 2 episodes in so far. So far, this is a really big win for me. I mean, there's also like some really fun humor going on in this show too.
Yeah, it's just a perfect confluence of all of these different things that I know the both of us like and things that just I really like and I'm partial to. For those who don't know, I minored in Japanese in college. I studied it for like 3 or 4 years, so I can speak a little bit. I'm not fluent, so I'm not even gonna try to pretend like I didn't need the subtitles. I did, but in between this and Shogun, I'm having a pretty good year when it comes to Japanese related
Yes,
content,
you
guys.
are.
No, I just think that we really love mysteries. We really
Yeah.
love diving in and exploring theories, and this is a really, really great show for that. So if you've been around for some of our other murder mysteries over
Mhm.
the years, we think you're really, really going to dig this show.
Yeah, if you're looking for just a fun mystery for the summer, so far this is it. This is a great show.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into everything about it, the story, what works, our question marks. Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we will be here talking more about Sunny. I mean, we like this show so much, it's going to be
Yeah.
hard for us not to. And also smash that like button as well.
And if you want to help support us further, you can join our Patreon. We'll have a link for you below. There's lots of fun discussions going on over there. And it really does help support Matt and I
Yeah,
here at the channel. So, thank you so much to everyone who has.
okay.
Let's just talk big picture,
Mhm.
sort of what the show's about.
Yeah, I think it's important for a brand new show, especially one like this. I know it's sort of based on some source material, but
Yep.
I think in general, there's a lot of table setting that should be done here. So we have Susie, who is played by Rashida Jones, who a lot of people are going to know her from The Office as Karen. For those of you who just love Apple, she was on Silo. I will not spoil what happened to her on Silo if you
Such a good show.
yeah, we also cover that here. But she is playing Susie, who is this woman who has come to Japan. She ends up forging this relationship with this man named Masa, who supposedly is a part of a refrigerator, sort of. That's his job. He works in refrigerators.
Yeah, he works at Imatech, but he is in the refrigerator department, or at least that's what he's told her.
Yeah, and so what ends up happening is that Masa and their son, they end up disappearing, and there's a lot of question marks as to what happened to the two of them, and she's still at the start of this show really in her grief and mourning and trying to sort of make sense of her life.
Yeah, there's this big like accident that's happened with a plane, and apparently her son and husband were on this plane, but there's no real evidence that, they didn't make it out or that they even got on the plane. In fact, there's a little bit of evidence when she's calling his phone that it's still working and everything is still okay with it. So she's kind of wondering if maybe that's a clue that he's still out there and that maybe there's still some hope.
Where things get even weirder, and weirder in the best possible way, is
Yes.
when mysterious man in the night comes with a giant box that he wants to deliver to Susie, that this is something her husband wanted her to have, and lo and behold, it is Sunny, a home bot, aka a robot that was created specifically for her by her husband that he was secretly working on, and she had no knowledge of any of this.
Yeah, it seems that he was not working in refrigeration and he
Yeah.
has been working with these home bots, working with robots in general. This robot is brand new in a way.
Yeah.
Susie is like, got this robot, and Sunny's like, listen, I don't have any real memories, we'll call them memories, from before meeting you right now. All I know is that your husband programmed me to be very specific for you. She's doing, kissy hand gestures that her husband would do to
Mhm.
her and trying to win her over because Susie is anti-robot. She thinks a robot kill her mom, which was just a self-driving car, but she's very like, I don't want robots around. So it takes a little while, of course, for them to kind of find their way to working together to kind of figure out what happened to Masa. Even though Sunny doesn't have much of the way of memories before meeting Susie, it seems like some of whatever was going on before, like it seems that her memory has been wiped. She's been reprogrammed, and now she's just this, fun helper home bot. But some of those memories seem to be coming back.
All of this is just a great way to explain what makes this show so amazing is that I think a lot of us inherently, whether it is headlines in real life, whether it is Jess and I watching too much Black Mirror, no matter what it
Yeah.
is, we've come to be very distrusting of technology. And I feel like if, I don't want to speak for you, but if a homebot showed up at my door with some mysterious man in the dead of night and he told me that this robot had been programmed just for me, I would have probably done the same thing as Susie, where she tried to like throw it over the bridge at one point.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Sunny is not giving up easily. Susie's tried to put Sunny in the closet and, put her on sleep mode, drove her out to the bridge, left her there, but she just keeps coming back.
At the same time, despite however distrusting I would be of this robot at first, the robot is also adorable.
It's so adorable.
They did such a good job designing Sunny, and I'm sure, they didn't have everything we're seeing on the show there on set. That had to be a very interesting experience for Rashida filming this.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into my first
All right.
tinfoil hat theory here because it has to do with the fact that this robot is adorable.
Yeah.
Has a really sweet voice. It's so cute.
Mhm.
Like, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we start out this whole show seeing that a home bot has killed somebody at Imatech, that
Yeah.
they have this sort of incubation area that has a bunch of these robots that they're trying to figure out, how they work or what they're doing, or they're programming them to do whatever. And this robot ends up killing somebody there while Masa's in the room and other people are in the room as well. So, are they trying to make these very cute home bots so that people will be like, of course, give me your home bot. I will take your home bot. And then they bring them in and then they kill that person because we know that there has been a big death. A counselor has been killed,
Mhm.
seemingly possibly by a home bot. I mean, there's like tracks that look like wheels of
Yeah.
blood that were in a photo there. And, Susie has seen those same tracks in this incubation room where this robot has killed somebody else. I think that Sunny is the same robot that killed somebody in this room, and Sunny just doesn't know it. She's been completely reprogrammed. She's like, this is the first time, I'm working. Like, I'm meeting you for the first time, and this is my first memory. And it's like, okay, but is it?
This goes back to something that's been mentioned a couple of times in these first two episodes, which are robots are a reflection of their creator. And I think that's the real message that this show is going to be sending us throughout all of this, regardless of whether or not Sunny is inherently good, evil, anything in between.
Yeah.
Sunny is just basically a reflection of how she was created. And it's the same for any other homebot that exists that is out there. And where I kind of hope that this show is going is somewhere that's a little bit more individualized as opposed to, oh, there's just a bunch of robots that are working for some specific organization and it gets really sort of just dark. I want this to be more of a specific emotional story where there's just maybe one or two really bad people who were trying to create and use these home bots for not great reasons. And the Masa was hopefully not involved in all of this, that Masa wanted something good for the world. But I think we all sort of know that even if you want to create something for the purpose of good, there's always people who come around and do very, very awful things that were not the original intention.
It feels like there's something even more going on with Masa because there is this whole like wolf eating its own tail logo that has shown up quite a bit.
Hmm.
It's something that he's drawn, that his mother had up in the house. We're going to get into the mother because I think she's completely involved in this.
Yeah.
But this symbol is something that we've seen somebody that has tattooed on them. We saw him sort of send this out over the internet as sort of like a Masa signal
Yeah.
when everything went sideways with the home bot that killed somebody in the incubator. The first thing he did was send out this signal, and then we saw him go over and basically put a blanket over the robot that did this, which I think is Sunny
Yeah.
and has been reprogrammed. It feels like maybe he's part of an organization, kind of an underground organization that got this job at Imatech to come in here to sort of see what's going on. Like maybe this has been going on a really long time, that these robots are getting put together to be able to sort of go in and do like a sneaky kill on certain people, that they can target people, robots for hire, for kill sort of thing. And he's trying to figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it to be able to get that information back to his own organization so that then they can maybe stop it. Because I don't think that Masa's like all evil and, he's a bad guy. I just don't see it. He feels like he's part of like, the good guy side, the resistance.
Yeah, I would be bummed out if Masa turns out to be bad. I think the show's much more interesting if he's just a good guy who's been caught up in some really, really bad stuff and he's been
Hmm.
trying to figure it out and he wasn't keeping anything from Suzie for a sinister reason. I think he's doing the age-old I just want to protect you thing, which very rarely ever works out, but I still
No.
think he is trying to operate from within this good place. And I think one of the reasons he's gone now is he sort of reaches this point of no return, where if he continued on the path that he was on, it was going to end up putting Suzie and perhaps their son in really, really harsh danger. So I think
Hmm.
he makes this move hoping that she can potentially figure some things out. And maybe he's off somewhere trying to figure some things out too in order to stop it. And eventually they can combine their powers and actually take on whatever's coming up here.
Yeah, it feels like Masa had to disappear, and that he disappeared himself and disappeared his son so that they can be protected. And that he was like, okay, but if I'm ever going to be able to kind of get out of this and come back to Suzie or out in the open, I need somebody to figure this out for me and get going and clear this up for me so I can come back out without danger and endangering our son. So I'll send Suzie this robot because she's a smart girl. She's going to be able to figure
Mhm.
it out, and then she'll be able to clean up the mess that's been made.
I really appreciate how the show is already dropping in a number of clues. It doesn't feel like they're just stringing us along.
No.
Even things that are kind of small or kind of simple on the surface, whether it is that Sunny can apparently get quote unquote drunk when you
Oh my
like
God, it's
play.
so funny.
It's really, really funny, but then it's also like I'm sitting here thinking that there might be something that comes out of this eventually
Yeah.
because what happens when we all as humans get drunk? I'm not speaking from any personal experience
Sure.
here, but
No,
when you
never.
get drunk, occasionally you say things that you would not say when you were sober. Maybe you have some sort of revelation. Maybe
Yep.
that's where Sunny can figure something out.
Yeah, because so far it seems like she is figuring a little bit out in a dream state, a
Hmm.
sleep state, where she did have this memory of, Masa coming up and putting like a cloth over a robot. And I think that's why it's the biggest clue that it's her. And I gotta say that it feels really good if it's actually Sunny as the same robot, that they're revealing this early on in the series, because I don't think that was ever really the mystery that we're trying to figure out. Like
Yeah.
it felt like it was going to be something along those lines.
Yeah, I think if they had just sort of saved it to the end of this season and they were saying, "Oh, the robot did it," then it would be like, okay, great, but ultimately
Yeah,
it's about who created the robot. Like there's a specific reason why this happened. Sunny's just a vessel for something else. And so really now though, we have this opportunity to explore what I think is one of the interesting parts of the show, this relationship between Susie and Sunny, this robot that was created for her, and it's kind of this exploration of loneliness because Susie
yes.
is in another country. She's struggling with the language. She's just lost, her family in a lot of sense. And Sunny can potentially fill some sort of void for her, even though it's not something she initially wanted. I think that's going to be a really fun thing to watch play out.
For sure. I mean, we even saw when Susie and Masa first met that Susie was really there to basically disappear, that she
Hmm.
just wanted to have isolation out there. And then, it just how life takes a turn, right?
Yeah.
You're ready to just kind of do your own thing and isolate. And then here comes in the love of your life. And then you're like, well, I guess that plan's out the window, right? But the person that I really want to focus on right now is her mother-in-law, Masa's mother,
Yeah.
because something really odd is going on here. I don't know what it is, but my tinfoil hat theory is that she is involved in this somehow. That she is involved if there's some sort of secret resistance with the wolf eating its own tail symbol. She is involved with that side of things. There was a couple of clues. One, she had this same drawing from Masa
Mhm.
that when Susie came to be like, hey, I need this drawing, it's up on your wall. She's like, no, it's not. Okay, well, where is it? I don't know. I threw it out. I'm like, okay, do you not know or did you throw it out? Okay, something is not right here. It doesn't make any sense. And I know she's kind of like, well, do you keep everything your son draws? It's like, okay, stop. This is very specific. You're in on something. The second thing is Masa was really into video games, and
Mhm.
that's we've seen this on other shows too, of people who communicate with other people through video games
Yeah.
and talk online and stuff like that. When Susie showed up at her mother-in-law's house, her mother-in-law had a bunch of people over playing video games. Like her and a bunch of other old biddies were playing video games. And I was just like, it's very convenient that that's something that her son was doing. Now it's something that she's doing, and it is a way to communicate. So I think the mother-in-law is actually still in touch with Masa.
I think it's a good theory. I think there's one or two things going on with the mother-in-law. Either she is actively very much involved in all of this, or she's just repressing a lot of things because she knows that something is awry and she just doesn't want to think about it. And so she's trying to come up with all these sort of excuses, all these sort of distractions, maybe playing the
Yeah,
video games as a way to remind her of her son without actually having to face the tough issues. But I think
for
that
sure.
there's a lot more going on with that character, one way or the other, than what is being presented to us. And that's,
Yeah, why are you throwing out that logo specifically?
yeah,
You didn't throw out anything else, but you threw
yeah.
that out.
I think you must have known that there was something not great about it. Either you are trying to distance yourself from it because you're involved, or you're trying to distance yourself from it just because you don't want to think about whatever it is that you know.
Whatever's going on, there is somebody who is watching Susie and watching Sunny. We do
Mhm.
not know who they are, but they have tried to program their way into Sunny. Like they brought shoes, Masa's perfect looking shoes. When these
Yeah.
shoes showed up, and they're like, "Oh, an airline robot showed up with Masa's shoes. Oh, he's got to be gone if they have his shoes." It's like those shoes look like you just went straight to like Adidas and bought these shoes and put them in a bag and handed them from one robot to another, and Sunny just bought it because that is basically what happened. Because this other robot's like, oh man, yeah, I couldn't get anything out of her because she has been wiped.
Okay, the thing about the shoes that you mentioned here is very, very smart. As somebody, I'm not a frequent flyer, but I'm a frequent enough flyer to know that even if this was just a normal airline, somebody would have just like thrown those shoes around, like, and all the carry-on stuff. They would have been a mess. There's no way the shoes are looking like that.
No, and I mean, there's an accident, so
Yeah.
this whole plane should be in shambles and pieces. All these people are dead. Why would these shoes look like you just took them out of the box?
It's just, there's something inherently really, really fishy going on there, and there's obviously people who are trying to use Sunny, who are trying to use Susie for whatever to see what they know in order to
Yeah.
get some sort of answers on it. And there
Mhm.
are a couple other bits and pieces of evidence here that there's something still awry with Sunny and that other people are trying to access her. I mean, we see the scene when Susie and Sunny show up to Evatech, and before they even go inside, Sunny starts to have those malfunctions, which pretty suspicious timing. There's clearly something that's going on there, but I really also just enjoyed the scene of the two of them in there. Sunny's just leading the calisthenics from
Yeah.
up above while Susie's like doing the whole secret agent thing. It's just a really playful show in a way, but also playful in a really dark sense.
Yeah, it's got some darkness to the show for sure, but it is really funny. Like if you're looking for something that's sort of a light mystery,
Yeah.
this is it.
I just found it very touching, even the scene at the end of episode 2 where Susie just wants to cling to something and just feel like somebody is there. And it just her relationship with Sunny is really building. I think there's a sweetness there. And it's a very fun and at times adorable relationship to watch. I'm very worried it's gonna go south.
Oh, it was so sad but very touching where she asked Sunny to just lay beside her and, sleep beside her in the bed and Sunny just puts on breathing noises to be like, "Oh, just so that you feel like there's like an actual person beside you." I'm like, "That's so sweet."
Yeah,
Which is why these robots are the perfect disguise to be able to be like, "Okay, we're going to go in and kill this counselor. How are we
yeah.
going to do that? We're going to send in the cutest little robot ever. Here's your cute little home bot with the sweet little voice that's going to come in and just roll over you."
Ultimately, where I hope this show is going, I'm fine if they are sending a technology is evil message. It's just also we have seen that so many times.
Yeah, but I think it's more what you said,
Mhm.
that it is, the programmer behind it. That's not just all technology is evil, it's who's behind it.
I'm hoping that's the case just because I want there to be a little bit more of a hopeful message at the end of this show. So it doesn't just feel like every other thing that we've possibly seen and that there can be good uses for home bots. I want to live in an optimistic place here, guys, but just in general terms, this is just such a fun, innovative show. I don't know who is going to watch these first 2 episodes and be like, oh, this is just completely boring. It's just really, really unique.
Yeah, it's really unique. It's pretty fast paced with a lot of, getting the story going. There's a lot of moving parts to it. It's fairly easy to follow, but the mystery feels complicated enough that you're gonna feel really, engrossed into this world.
All right. Well, rest assured, we'll be back to talk more, Sunny. So hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any more coverage. I'll try to do the little, love thing with my hand. I don't remember it well enough, guys. I'm sorry. But also, you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That is a great way to support us. Thank you so much to those of you who have. We will see you here next time.